Welcome to another Unicus Report. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be with you each and every time. We're on the air, right?
We are live on the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. Woo-hoo.
All right. Jeez. Daryl's in a rare mood today, folks. As I said before, it's a privilege and a pleasure to be with you each and every time. I'm a little scattered right now because all kinds of crazy crap is hitting the fan. Obviously, we're under assault and we can't talk about it. We're on certain platforms. We cannot discuss the fact that there's a biological warfare agent or agents that have been released against us, meaning humanity, and that we're not allowed to talk about therapeutics to deal with this. So, among other things, here's what I want to show you. Okay. I know it's a little bit, we started a little bit late today, but there's something I really, really want to share with you on my website at unicusmagazine.com. I think this is what I want you to see. Hold on. Main page, scrolling down to Cosmic Web of Light. Why is this important? Because most of us have a heart chakra that is shut down to some degrees, if not completely shut off. Those people that are psychopathic they have no heart chakra connection to the cosmos, let alone the rest of creation, or us, each other. So I'm showing you this particular picture right here of someone who is actually emanating love from their heart. And that's something that we all need to start doing more of. And this is why Jesus, Yeshua, whatever you want to call him, I call him Father. He is my Jedi master. Anyway, he had advised us to love our enemies. And it's not so much for their benefit as it is for ours, because when you start hating someone, even if you legitimately deserve to be hated, what happens is this goes away. It diminishes our ability to connect to creation, the cosmos, the multiverse, through the heart chakra. So the doorway to the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of light is through the heart. It's not just a physical heart. It's the seat of the soul. You can see right here, this is not a heartbeat. Now, the Heart Math Institute has shown us images like this. These are two healthy people connecting on a heart level. And it actually goes out much further than that. Okay, this is a graphic example of what two healthy loving people connecting through their heart chakra looks like. It's very dynamic. It's very powerful. Why? Again, because of this. The larger this field is, the stronger this connection is right here to the cosmic web of light, the web of life, the more information that we receive and send throughout all of the universes. And more importantly, this is the way that we take control or command of our own creation, as well as working with others. As I said before, loving our enemies unconditionally is not just for them, although that's part of it. It's really to keep us in this, in this mode right here. I hope you're seeing this. I hope everybody's seeing this.
They're seeing it. And
okay, good, thank you.
Here because us people, as humans, if we learn to love our enemies,
yep,
we learn to more so love ourselves.
Yes.
I mean, the problem that we have is we're selfish species. It's mine, all mine.
Right.
And to give outward is to be accepting within.
Well, and also, here's the thing. When we're in this mode right here, love is the opposite of fear.
Very true.
And because fear is the quickest way to the dark side. People that are in fear or have any negative emotions are not, they do not have this heart connection.
So I got a question at this point.
Go ahead.
Is that the
Go ahead.
reason why Luke Skywalker was so hurt, so angry? He was so afraid of fighting Vader at that moment, and
Yeah, it was
why
confliction.
he was able to it as they said, it is a conflict within
Yeah,
him.
it really is. He was conflicted because he loved his father, and he refused to hate his father or want to kill his father. But if you remember, Darth Sidious, was it? No, sorry. Was he the emperor? Was Darth Sidious?
Sidious, yes.
Yeah, and he was telling Luke, "I can feel your anger.
Yes.
You know, strike me down." He really wanted
my
Luke to be
place.
angry, so that, which leads to fear, which is again is the path. It was also done to Anakin Skywalker.
Yes. True.
You know, which became Darth Vader. So although the Star Wars movies are fictional, they're based on some truth, because truth is universal and you cannot ultimately eradicate it entirely. However, that is, as you can see, the censorship, as I mentioned earlier, is increasing because they're desperate. They know that they're lying, cheating, stealing, and killing, as they've been doing for thousands of years on this planet. The agents of the dark side are real. I've said this before, and I'll have to keep repeating it until people understand this. And you will understand that we are not alone. We've never been alone. We're stuck between two competing factions of Anunnaki. That's what most people know them as, all right? They're the shining ones. They're also the fallen ones. Just like in Star Wars, you have the Jedi Masters and then you have the Sith Lords. It's that diametrically opposed. And we're stuck in the middle of that, most of us. I mean, not okay. And the reason we're discussing this is so you can make a choice to which side do you really want to choose knowingly. Ignorance is no longer an option in where we're at right now, which is essentially a battlefield between these two factions. And the only way to rise above it, in my opinion, based on my understanding, my teachings, is the teachings that have been imparted to me to then pass on to you, is that we have to remain open, specifically in our heart, and not let our mind or our heads dominate. The heart is supposed to lead. It is, you know, when you talk about the force, that is what I'm showing you right here. The force is generated by the source or God, and this web of light connects all creation. So tapping into that force is what allows you to feel everything, just like a spider can feel everything in its web. This web is our home. This is our heritage. This is our divine birthright. And we have the option to connect to it. Now, obviously, those on the dark side are trying to keep us from doing that through various methods. Ionized radiation, obviously, is one of them. Mental manipulation and stuff. But I mean, you know, the what do you call it? The intelligence agencies always talk about, when they go into controlling a population, they always say winning the hearts and the minds of the people. Why do they say that? Well, here's your example right here. If they can tap into this and manipulate this, then the mind will follow. And then they basically have you if you allow it. And you have to allow it. And this is why I'm even mentioning it, okay? Having a strong heart connection to all of creation, the cosmos, multiverse, whatever you want to call it, it allows us a degree of protection. It insulates us from the dark side. The dark side is dissonant. It is destructive. And the way they get us there is what we were saying before, is they make us afraid and angry. They appeal to our greed and ego, lust, whatever, all of those negative emotions. And, you know, I've given people different ways that you can keep your field up. But this is probably the most important one, really, is love. Now, I know everybody seems to think that this word is overused, and I would agree, but we have to use that word because we have a limited vocabulary. This is the word I can use today, but let's try and define it a little bit better other than, because it's become such a generic term, like I love ice cream. I love surfing, it's like I love photography. Well, no, you mean you appreciate those things, you enjoy doing them, but that's not love. Love is on a physics level, it is the contracting force of creation. Why is that important? Because that's what pulls things together. That's what coherence means. It means to cohere, to literally pull together the building blocks. And this is something that I've been reading in a book, absolutely fascinating. I don't think I have the right to share it with you, although I'd love to. It's called Love Without End. And it is where this picture comes from. It's a recent portrait of Jesus. As I told you last week, that is my father. He's also known as Lord Anu of the Anunnaki. What he's doing there, the clothes he's wearing there, he is literally, that's a disguise. He's undercover. He's walking among us. The lambs are, they're metaphors. It's a metaphor of us. This is how he sees us, because we are literally like that. We are lambs that have been led to the slaughter by the dark side. He feels responsible. He's the one that authorized the creation of us. And his original intention was for us to live like this in a garden setting, in a pasture type of setting, where we could evolve into shining ones, like he is. The shining ones, also known as angels, Elohim, you name it. There's a lot of different names, but essentially the shining ones is just a way of saying who they really are, is radiant beings of light. That's who we are too, when ultimately, as I said before, when we do this. Okay, when I saw him, he didn't look like this at all. And that's why I'm so amazed to actually see his face now and be reading his teachings, his most recent teachings that most people are unaware of. And as I said before, you can access it through a book called Love Without End. And so my understanding is that love is actually it's a component of creation, because he says, you're love. Well, how could that possibly be? Well, it's that force of love contracting things or commanding the building blocks of spirit to form matter. So what am I talking about? Okay, everything is waves. We know that. We know that everything is waves, but what? Go ahead, Daryl.
My question is, you're going with the waves, but I was going to ask, if we're all built in with love or in love,
yeah,
in the form of love, then wouldn't we also be that light, the shining?
Yes, yes, here's why. When we're doing this, this is why he talks about so much about love in the book Love Without End, which is where this came from. He allegedly for 40 days he was popping in and out. He's a multidimensional master Jedi, and he's also the king of the angels, right? He's the king of the Anunnaki. He is Lord Anu. He was coming to this woman's studio. Her name is Glenda Green. If you want to look it up, she does have a website. I've invited her on the show, but she did not respond. I don't know why. So it doesn't really matter. The information is, the reason I even have this is because I came forward and was telling people, look, I understand now who I'm interfacing with. And it is what you call Jesus. I call him Father. He said he's my father. Okay, now I understand it. It only took me 36 years to understand it, because this is a really complex problem. It wasn't originally the intention was to bring us into the Anunnaki's society. We would have been on the lower level, but not permanently. We weren't designed to be slaves to these Anunnaki. That's not why they made us. They hybridized the primitive caveman type humans that were here genetically, they intermixed with us and created a hybrid. That's what Homo sapiens are. In other words, this is the missing link here, people. Nobody's ever found it before because of this ongoing conflict between these two, and they're not even two factions. You know, this is the really sad part. They're one family, they're one culture, they're one civilization, they're one people. But you know, cultures have flaws, and they're not. I'm just saying, they're not perfect. So there was a rebellion, and it's ongoing. It hasn't been resolved yet, and that's one of the reasons you're seeing him walking among us like a human, a regular Homo sapien, because it's the only way he could communicate to us in a way that we could hear him.
I got a question. All right.
Yes.
Here we go. This is a
Go ahead.
question I've even asked reverends and other religious fraction people. And if there's a war, that means there's a battle. That means there's a cause for war. Then that person that we consider a god is not a god. You know how that goes. Is that?
Do you need to get?
No, I don't need to get it. But
Okay.
Would that not mean that that person that we're considering a god is not a god? Because who would fight a creator that created you? You can't beat him. He made you, or she made you, or it made you.
Yes. You're asking good questions. Let me put it to you this way: the Anunnaki created our physical form in their image. That's why we look like them. We are essentially them on a physical level. They did, but he admits, he knows, they know, they didn't create our souls. Our souls are created by God.
Okay.
In a much higher plane than this. Where we are is considered the lower realms. So you have the highest realm, let's just call it heaven, then you go to the next one is the causal plane. That's in the lower realms. There is just like you have the atmosphere, it keeps going, you know, they call it different things as it becomes thinner and thinner until you're in outer space. Same thing is true here. Okay, so you have heaven, you have the causal plane, then you have the astral plane and the physical plane. These are all almost, I would just have to say that they're really like different universes altogether. But they're connected to each other, see, and we can transit through them, and we do. Our souls transit through them. Each time we go to a different realm, we're given a different vehicle in order to, well, like an avatar, in order to interface.
Okay.
So you're bringing up a good point about them. Are they gods? That's just what we call them. We call them gods and angels and all kinds of things. But the truth is, they're family. We are related to them. They're not aliens. That just means foreigner.
Well, aliens to Earth. How about that?
Well, yeah, but they've been here for so many thousands of years, Daryl. I don't know how you could say that.
That's true. They made home here.
There's a lot of misunderstandings about them. And again, all goes back to the war or the civil war. The rebellion is actually what they call it. A rebellion is a more accurate term. Just need to move this so I can actually see myself when I look up.
And while you're doing that, I got a little job to do because I hate to say a monitor dropped. All right, you keep talking, and I'll be right here. I'm listening.
Thank you, Daryl. Okay, so anyway, they're listening too. By the way, I mean seriously, they monitor us, they watch us. This is why some of them have been called the Watchers, but. It's time for us to know this, and it is important. Context does matter. The truth matters. And but it takes effort. It takes effort. Why? Because we've been lied to in so many ways for such a long time by the fallen ones. And it makes it difficult for us to recognize the truth because we literally have been indoctrinated to believe things that are false. Clearly. And so it makes it a little bit difficult when you hear somebody talking about something like this, the way I am. I realize that it seems unusual to say the least. Maybe you're skeptical. I understand that. but hopefully you'll suspend your skepticism long enough to actually hear what I'm telling you and look into it deeper for yourself. Again, my website here, Unicus, UNICUSmagazine.com, is where I have all this information posted. Let's go back a page here. I have 3 books about the Shining Ones. This particular one is the 3rd in the series. Now, I'm just giving you a link to the publisher's website in England. You can buy them here in the US through this website. This is the best price you're going to get. I'm not doing this for money. It's a public service. You really owe it to yourself and your loved ones to know this information. As best as humanly possible, you need to know this, because this is our heritage. This is our origins. It actually it's helped me. I've been looking for this for decades. This information right here. Okay, so when you click on the cover, what you're going to get is an archive that I put together of information about the Shining Ones, and also a link right here. You can either buy a PDF or you can go and get yourself a print copy. And if you're in the US, it ships from San Diego, California, which is very near where I'm at now. So, and there's a huge, if you think you know who the Anunnaki are, think again. When you read this book, you will understand there's a lot of lies that have been told, or misinformation, or whatever you want to call it, disinformation. Maybe it was sheer ignorance, I don't know. But there is a world of difference between what Zecharia Sitchin wrote, his interpretation of them, the Anunnaki, and what Mr. Christian O'Brien has written. And here's one example. The actual name, the correct translation of the Shining Ones is Anunnaki. And other things such as serpent, which we think of as reptilians, is actually, it means a wise man or woman, not a snake or a reptilian. It's also another name for their scientists, who are obviously very wise, but not incorruptible. And that's where the big problem. That's why right now they don't even want us discussing the genetic manipulation that's going on. They're doing this deliberately. It's not an accident, okay? It's part of an agenda to retain control over us. Do you see this cover at the top here? That would be considered God, and below is the devil. And we're caught in between these 2 factions, as I mentioned before. Okay? And humans, that's obviously us. Now, some humans are working directly with the fallen ones. They are the lower ranking Anunnaki that came here and rebelled against their superiors and created this civil war or uncivil war. And I think Daryl mentioned this before, why even fight? Well, it's not a fight. They're imprisoned here. They were captured by their superiors and put in prison for a period of time, and everything that they did was destroyed. However, they were given a second chance. Some people in this audience, you would know Noah's Ark, or the flood of Noah, the Great Flood. There's a lot more to it than what you've been told. Again, because this is an ongoing problem or conflict. And as we know, in situations like this, the truth is always the first casualty of war. And this is a bit of a war, although not really, because if one side is imprisoned, it's not much of a battle, is it? It's more like a massive temper tantrum or psychotic break, which we call this criminally insane or psychosis. It's a form of hysteria. It's a mental, spiritual problem. I showed you this before earlier. They've lost their connection to creation and the creator for whatever reason. Yes, Daryl? Oh, okay. Anyway, I hope this is making sense to you. Daryl's busy today, man. I'm surprised. He's not been well. I'm very glad that he's up and around right now. Again, this is the cover of the book, The Shining Ones. There's other books by that name, so please don't get confused. This book by Christian and Barbara Joy O'Brien is, to my way of thinking, and I've been researching and experiencing this, working with the Shining Ones for years, most of my life, actually, in this particular life. So in my opinion, this is the most accurate assessment of the situations as it relates to the Anunnaki. I know that's what most people call. I'm just using that because that's what most people call them, even though that's not the correct term. The best, most accurate assessment of the Anunnaki and our relationship to them and the implications thereof. It is a secular, scholarly assessment. When you read it, when you look at it, very few people have said this, but I've had two people now, two colleagues in broadcasting that have told me that's religious. And I disagree. What Mr. O'Brien and his wife are doing is they're decoding historic events that have been deemed to be either religious or mythological. Okay. And they're not. They're really not. And it's really incumbent upon us to read something like this and then consider it. Analyze it yourself. Do some homework. Jeff Daugherty did. When I told him about it, he read it and he said, even though we'd had disagreements about angels being real, because the way the church presents them, it's fairy tales, literally. It's designed to manipulate and confuse us, and more importantly, divorce us from any direct connection with these beings. And we are family, okay? I'm not kidding when I say that. I mean, I wouldn't just say that for no reason. It's just a fact. So anyway, the leader of the group that came here among the Anunnaki is Lord Anu. Most people don't talk about him. They're more focused on Enki and Enlil or Marduk or whatever. But again, this is because of what Mr. Sitchin, who's deceased now, wrote. And he did that on behalf of his handlers. He was just an errand boy. He graduated from the London School of Economics on a scholarship, just like George Soros. He was paid very well to manipulate the public's perception of who we are, who the Anunnaki are, and what is our relationship. You might have noticed that he never talked about God in his books. Mr. Sitchin obviously was not a religious person or a spiritually minded individual. It was all intellectual. And most of that is wrong. Most of what he wrote is inaccurate. You may also notice that George Soros is an errand boy also, who is going around manipulating currencies, and he's been given access to a tremendous amount of money to do social engineering through different agencies like United Nations, State Department. That's one of the reasons he hasn't been arrested. He's working for the system. The system is corrupt. It's there to enslave us or keep us enslaved to whom? The fallen ones, the lower ranking Anunnaki, collectively called Satan, which means adversary. They are the adversary of their superiors, the higher ranking shining ones. Now, I'm sorry if you've heard me say this before, because I've been interviewed a lot. I've got a show. I'm back on KGRA. I'm basically saying the same thing. And hopefully the censors don't take us down off of too many platforms. But if they do, I don't really care. I agreed last March of 2020 to work with the Shining Ones openly, even if it meant there was a risk, okay? They said I'd be kicked off the radio, which happened because one person complained and threatened to sue the station. So I left, but I'm back, okay? I'm back now. And it's not
back,
easy.
Everyone.
It's not.
He's back, and no one can stop him. He's on Global Enlightenment, and we will not kick him off for nothing. Keep telling the truth.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And race. Race. Okay. He was scared that the station was going to get sued, and they couldn't really afford that, because a lot of people are doing that now. They've got all this unlimited money to go after people that they think are, for whatever reason, they want to silence us from speaking our truth openly, publicly. Okay. So they just say, oh, I'm offended, I'm going to sue you guys. Well, really? I didn't want to cause any problems for KGRA. And, they were going through some other crap anyway. I just didn't want to make things worse. So I left. And, but I was also warned, if I wasn't careful, that I would be killed for exposing the fallen ones, because they're criminally insane, and they obviously have a lot of minions that can go out and do dirty deeds for them. Now, unfortunately, I didn't understand when they said, whoever said this among the shining ones, when I made this agreement to work with them, I thought they said I would, if I wasn't careful. What they said was, if you're not careful, you could be killed. What they meant was humanity. If we are not careful, the fallen ones are going to kill all of us. That's their stated goal, was to reduce the population to down, like, what, 90%, something like that, something crazy nuts like that. It's called genocide. It's not depopulation. It's genocide. When you do that, it's murder. It is murder. And they play by a different set of rules. You might have noticed that the justice system is not equitable. It's not fair. It's not just. It's just us versus them. So why am I bringing this up? Well, okay, because the agreement that I have with the Shining Ones is to let all of you know that we need to ask them for help dealing with the fallen ones, because we're incapable of dealing with them directly. They don't want to deal with us directly. They see us as inferior. They think that we are their property, which is not true, but that's just what they think, and that's why they treat us this way. So this kind of comes back to the whole thing, what I said before. Why is Jesus saying to love your enemies? Actually, what he said, all of the Mosaic laws of, the 10 commandments, somebody asked him about it. What is, of all the 10 commandments, which is the most important? And he changed everything. He said, there's really only two things you need to do, and that is to love God with all your heart and love your neighbor like yourself. And that's it. But you see the common denominator, there's love. He also had said, not in that particular context, but he had said, love your enemy. And I've explained it to you earlier. It's not an intellectual exercise. It's different than liking somebody or liking something or disliking something. It's a much deeper energetic connection. This is what he's encouraging us to do. It's how he performed miracles. What we think of as miracles is actually just a higher science that we don't understand, or we're not being allowed to understand yet. Yet. And that's why I encourage you to go to my website, unicusmagazine.com, and I'm sharing information with you there that is unique. That's what unicus means, or unicus, it's Latin, means unique. But I also encourage you, if you want to get to know Jesus better, or Lord Anu, and I think it's important because he really is the God of this world. It's not Satan or Lucifer, that those people are imprisoned here. Those lower ranking shining ones who are imprisoned here are not the God of this world. I know, although, from a Christian biblical perspective, a lot of people say, oh, he's the God of this, Satan's the God of this world. No, they're playing God. They are playing God. They're also mad scientists playing God. They're manipulating what had been created here by the higher ranking shining ones, the Anunnaki. So wouldn't you want to know the king of the Anunnaki? Wouldn't you want to get to know him better? If he's the leader, don't you think he could give you some straight answers, some good advice? So I'm just sharing with you, what I've learned about this. I know it sounds very strange, I'm sure. And as I said, it was very confusing to me over the years because I'd asked him so many times, "Who are you?" And he wouldn't tell me. And the reason is because it's dangerous. Because this, as I said before, this is an ongoing conflict. And even though they're imprisoned here, one of the biggest problems is when they were given a second chance after the so-called flood, instead of doing what the right thing, what they had originally agreed to do, which is watch over us and help nurture and cultivate us to be good citizens within the Anunnaki society, they taught us how to be criminals like they are. They doubled down on the dark side, and they've been doing it ever since. So they, in their criminally insane minds, they chose to turn this prison planet into a fortress. And this is one of the reasons that they gave us weapons of war when we didn't need them. We really shouldn't have had access to that kind of knowledge and other things that obviously it's not for our benefit. It's to serve their agenda, the fallen ones. Okay. And that was never originally part of the plan. I'm going to show you again. This is what the original plan was going to look like. He was going to lead us from this level here to something much greater. Within his kingdom, within the kingdom of the Anunnaki, we would have learned incredible things. And I'm not talking about technology, although that's part of it. We would have fully developed into shining ones, something like this. That's not a great picture, but that's me. That's a picture of me holding a candle under the moonlight. And yes, I did enhance it with Photoshop because I'm trying to show you something. When I first was reunited with Lord Anu back in September 22nd of 1985 during an out-of-body experience up in the mountains of Malibu, he looked like this. Very similar to this. I mean, it's way brighter, the light coming off of him was just incredible. Do I have a better picture of him doing that? Well, this is what some people call the transfiguration of Christ. But you see over here, this is really what somewhere between these two pictures is really what he looked like when I first came face to face with him in this lifetime. There was light coming out of his eyes, and his entire body actually was radiating this light. I thought I had another picture of him somewhere. Oh, no, there's a picture of me. There's a better picture of me. Same thing. So, as I said, we are going to be transfigured. This is page 2 of the archive. You can actually see Star Trek did a whole show about this fictional scenario where some of the people on the planet were turning into these beings of light. They were becoming transfigured, and that's actually the name of the show. Again, you see what's happening? This is happening all over the world. People are focusing on their heart chakra. They're opening up what we call love, the emotional state of connectivity to all that is. That includes everyone, even the most heinous of criminals. If we don't love them, this stops. If we hate them, this stops. When we start to shut our heart down through negative emotions, this goes away. We won't become this. We can't become that. So again, this is why this is terrible. This is a terrible representation. But anyway, it's This is what some people say they look like, the shining ones. Again, it's why they call them that. There was another picture of painting of Jesus that someone did. No, it's not there. I don't know where I put it. Sorry. Anyway, it's not important. Okay, so one of the things that I've done on my website at unicusmagazine.com is I created a private platform so we can talk about these things without censorship. And I mean, it's nice. Daryl's got the Global Enlightenment Radio Network, and we're talking about it now for all those that you're actually getting the stream. Excuse me, but there's some things that just I think better left to a private chat or private platform. So if you want to join in, there's a button down here you can click for temporary access just to see what we're talking about. I also have, believe it or not, that's me. It's kind of embarrassing, but whatever. Happy ending was I lost my hair when I was in Hong Kong. And so I started using Rogaine, and it was working. My hair was coming back but for some reason, after a few months of that, I was walking downtown. There was a lot of pollution, and it started raining, and the combination of the acid rain and the Rogaine caused my scalp it felt like it was on fire. And as a result, I had to stop using it, and all the hair that I had regrown went away, and then some. And that's what I ended up looking like when I came back to the US. I was pretty upset. So a friend of mine, Jay Campbell, he's got a cosmetics company, and he ran across a chemist who had this formula, or has this formula. And it seemed to be all natural. I talked to him at length, the inventor. I think his name is Nick Andrews. In any case, he told me that it's a very simple thing, is that inflammation through whatever means, is stress or chemicals being, you're being exposed to chemicals, causes the skin to be inflamed, and the hair cannot get through when your scalp is inflamed. Inflammation is a problem for everybody. All right. So he said that was the main cause. Anyway, I said, okay, look, I'll try it for a couple months. And if it starts working, I'm going to stop to see if the hair that I gained is going to fall out. And this is after like a little over 2 months. I started getting my hair back, and I stopped just to see. And I stopped for like a month, and I didn't have any kind of side effects at all. So I thought, okay, great. I'll keep using it. And there's the results. So it seems like too simple, but I know there's a ton of stuff out there that people claim is going to help grow your hair back. And it's working for most people that try it, okay? If you have chronic inflammation from whatever kind of health issues, bad diet, lack of exercise, stuff like that, it does make a difference, okay? Because after I started, this is me at a local winery, having a good time, thinking, hey, I got my hair back. Well, guess what? I started going to the winery a bit too much, because there's a bunch of them here in the valley and where I live. And drinking alcohol and eating certain foods causes inflammation. So I stopped using the product, and I started drinking, and you can see it's starting to, I still have a pretty good hairline, but yeah, it's definitely an issue. So stopped drinking, started using more of this again, and anybody can do it. All right. This is a free book that I found on the internet. I didn't create it. You really need to read this, because this will tell you something about the effects of ionized radiation on humans, or actually all life. Something that very few people are talking about. Obviously, most people heard about 5G. It's not just that. This started a while ago. And again, I would say conclusively that this is the work of the fallen ones. they're doing this to us intentionally to make us ill. So, okay, that's that. That is my website. That is my father, Lord Anu, my Jedi master, I should say. This is me, what I look like. Now, look, I made this picture, but why I did that so that I could, because I didn't have a picture of him doing this. And the night I met him up in the mountains in that other, I guess, in the astral plane or some other dimension of light, the realm of light. That night, my grandmother saw me at the foot of her bed looking like this. So people have seen me looking like that as a shining one, just so you know. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just how it is. How you doing, Daryl?
Struggling like Superman, brother. But I'm still listening. Listen. If you only knew the behind the scenes work that people had to do in less than 5 minutes, you get my point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm glad you're hanging in there. Yeah. I am so relieved that you're doing well. I mean, I know you don't feel well, but yeah, I mean, you look alive.
I'm not Superman, brother.
You must be.
I am not Superman. But you know something? If I got any shining one in me, I tell you right now, he working overtime. look, you get my. Oh, hold on. You know what I'm saying, right? Look. You get my point. You get my point, right? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm trying to make it work. I'm putting it all together. But you know something? I've learned a lot from you today. And you know what I've learned? That
What's
the
that?
shining ones are not the bad ones. There's nothing.
Well, no.
There's nothing bad, really, out there, unless it disagrees with the way we feel. I guess the word is feel. And
yeah.
I mean, I don't understand one thing, and this is what's been upsetting to me for a long time.
What's that?
Why does everybody go by their feelings when it comes to idealism, ideology, and beliefs? I mean, a feeling is not necessarily the truth. What you're showing is a truth. This is a truth that's based on supernatural forces. I mean, but the same people that we're looking at as a shining ones, who are the ones we call now Jesus, angels, da.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that it all comes together to be the same thing. We just changed the name.
Well, yeah, but we've also been misled. The fallen ones have done a masterful job of misleading us, even though they were supposed to help nurture us and teach us stuff. Now, and here's the other thing: they don't know everything. They're lower ranking Anunnaki. They're not as well educated or well informed as their superiors. So they really are not the best teachers, and their motivation is, to manipulate us. So actually, since we're talking about them again, since brought this up, this is called the Secret Covenant of the Illuminati. And who are they? Just like in all the other groups, I briefly mentioned this first time I came on with Daryl, and it's out there. You can get a copy yourself, and some people say it's fake. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's just them communicating with each other. They tend to want to brag, like criminals always want to do that for some reason. I don't know why they're so proud of their dark deeds that they do. You there, Bob? Oh, I think he said it takes a second for him to.
Sounds like
He's coming in.
That sounds like criminalistic behavior. Thank you, Bob, for showing up, brother. I mean,
hey, I'm not on for another half hour. I just had to hurry up and get ready here. I finally found a screen where I can see what was going on. I was on the other page.
Sounds good. So how you doing today, Bob?
I'm okay. I seem to be out of sync though.
Oh, you mean your audio?
Yeah, Yeah, there's a 5-second delay happening here.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, that's always due to the fact that of a live stream with video takes an uplink pace. I mean, yes, I do have one of the fastest uplink or up speeds there is, but I tell you right now, nothing's faster than something shiny.
Speed of light. Yeah, you got that right. So here's the other thing on just for broadcaster tips. What I've learned from other engineers is that connecting your computer Wi-Fi is slower than actually doing an Ethernet connection to your computer. If you have like a router net in your home, like I've got 3 pods and
Right.
they're all linked together. So what I do is I run an Ethernet cable out of one of the routers directly into my computer, and that increases the speed,
Yes.
bandwidth, and that way you don't get as much glitching. Like you can see this, we've been doing this for a while, and I'm not getting any glitching on my end. So, and I do not have the highest speed in my
Right.
home, but it makes a
Can you
difference.
hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I lost you.
Oh, all right. That's on your end.
I'm back to launch meeting zone, launch meeting Zoom sector, waiting for Dr. Odin to send me an acknowledgement of my login. I'm going to try and re-log in again. Well, no, if I do that, I'll.
No, you're already here.
You're
We
already
see you.
Yeah, I
here.
just can't. I can't see any of you.
Oh,
Oh,
that's weird.
that's weird. I can't do too much over here because I'm kind of fundling. Look, Robert, I'm trying to say
Huh.
it nicely, right?
Y-
I'm kind
yeah.
of.
No, I have a question for you,
I
Robert.
got it. Oh, good.
Go ahead.
Pertaining to what you were talking about.
Yes.
Okay, so and this is my naivete, all right. Basically introduced to a lot of religions in my youth, mostly, one primarily Lutheran, the others being out of curiosity because I didn't get along with the Lutherans. They threw me out, like 3 Sunday schools, and they kicked
Wow.
me out of all 3 of them and said never come back. Right.
Yeah.
But so in my own discovery, okay, so the story that you're telling, I have heard recounted on from a number of different people with
Uh-huh.
some minor variations.
Sure.
There's always an antithesis on my emotion as I tell a story or recount a story. So, given that we get away from all the dogma, which is the principle, see, if you go to Ananu or the Anaki or whatever you want to name those beings or that being,
Uh-huh.
there is from that point forward, the story gives that there was a conflict between the parties. So let's say the Seraphim and the Hierophant got pissed off at each other and there was a war.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And this is where the Gobi Desert comes from. That was where they had their Armageddon. Boom. And they left, licking their wounds in different directions and left us behind. Now, that's the story as it's recounted to me.
Mm-hmm.
From everything from that point forward, in the absence of Enoch, okay, in the absence of that ruling body,
Mm-hmm.
we were left to our own devices, and therein dogma comes because the tax collector for the governor always tries to claim authority as soon as the governor's gone, right?
Sure.
He's now the most important guy in the valley. Okay. So everything before that then suggests that we were or are of the Anunnaki. Now, the Bible and a lot of other tales start the story with made of or made in our, my, his image,
Yes.
being God. Okay. I have contended for a very long time that the idea is that it wasn't about the way we looked or about the way they looked. It was about in order to put us in a position to be viable stewards to the animal life on this planet and the planet itself.
Okay.
The creator instilled in us that which was the quality of the creator. So the
Mm-hmm.
creator mentally, let's say, for putting it in material phrase, the creator can see the world from the eye of a deer or the eye of a bird or the eye of a fish, can sense it from the leaf of a plant or the fruit of a tree, because the Creator is all things. And so, in order for man to be a viable steward, which is he who overlooks and maintains, okay, overlooks, meaning he watches over it all, makes sure that everything is running accordingly, intervenes where it's necessary, okay, and assists the future production of whatever this pride of life is all about. That's a steward. So, in order to be that steward, the perspective had to be equal to all of the animals on the planet, all of the trees, all the leaves, everything, right? We had to be able to do that in our head without actually physically becoming that being or that creature. So consequently, this is what the Creator instilled in man that makes man different from all the other mammals. Why we're a higher life form than the monkey or the ape, simply because we have this consciousness ability. Now
Okay.
you get into the fact that there was this presence, there was this knowledge, there was this understanding of the universe, of the whole game, and that our purpose and principle for being here is to discover the pathway, the outcome, or the rules.
It's called the path of
And I've always questioned that
Bob,
part. Is it the
hold
rules?
on, Bob. It's called the path of light. There's only
Right.
two paths forward, path of light or the path of darkness.
No, and I get that. I'm saying for our purpose, why
Yes.
we are here, what we're meant to do as an individual entity, whether that's celestial or whether that's material, as an entity, we're here for
Yes.
a reason, obviously. And that reason being to discover the rules. You say to discover where we really are, what we're really about. I listened to a thing last night that went on for, what was it, 2 hours, Daryl, about flat earthers. Very, very compelling argument. I mean, it was hard to knock the details of that argument as it was to try to reinforce the philosophy of an oval planet going around an oval sun. Okay, I mean, they did it very well. I'm not sure I buy it, but I haven't been able to prove either one. I've never been off the planet physically. But I've always wondered, because like so many people now are talking about this great enlightenment or this great awakening, I had mine at the ripe old age of like 11 years old. And it came to the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. An individual appeared at a campfire, and I had some kind of weird interaction with this individual. When I woke up later, the individual was gone. But after that, I had this sense of knowing things that I could never have learned. I hadn't been around on this planet long enough to have learned the things that I now understood. So I believe that there is this interaction. However, I question again, is ours a path to follow, rules to understand, or is there a greater or lesser purpose? In other words, if we are just a chattel created by the Anunnaki, okay? So in other words, they needed slaves, and they grabbed some Neanderthal out of a cave and they pumped him through with some injections, okay, of DNA altering substances, which turned us into the humans that we are today, making us a more plausible and pliable slave, basic labor. Okay. They needed it because they couldn't do it. Now, could they not do it because they were so much larger than us? Could they not do it because they were ethereal? Maybe they didn't have physical substance. So you think about the story of the ghost. Everything we know, all of our fairy tales, philosophies, and ideas have all been played out countless times through history of man. From the first conclusions to who we were and what we were about to where we sit today. So nothing is really new. But of all the stories that unwind, okay, you get this idea that man is left to his own devices, but given something that makes him higher than the beast of the field, thereby learning through time and experiment to be equal to those who left. But what if those who left were never really here? If they were ethereal rather than physical, like that ghost, there's something to the story of the ghost that is there, is present, but cannot make physical contact.
Okay, Bob, do you read books?
Not a real reader. I was mildly dyslexic as a child. I kind of outgrew and overcame it, but I never became an avid reader. I
Okay.
do listen,
Wow, your connection's breaking up. Let's ask Heidi to come in. Please come off mute. Heidi, if you're listening, could you please jump in since you're on the board here? And anybody, hi.
Hi, Robert. I'm so happy
Hello,
to
howdy,
hear
howdy.
you again. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
So I'm so happy to hear you. I didn't know I was going to be called in. I just was wanting to listen in. And,
I see. I thought
finally figured out how to get in through Zoom. So.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. There's multiple ways you can tap into the stream. If you wanted to, okay. I thought you had a question or a comment.
No, just listening in. I really enjoy hearing about angels and angelology, and
Okay.
I've emailed you before, so just really, really appreciate your work.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that's probably why I recognize your name. I get a lot of email from people, but okay, well, I appreciate you listening in today. Hopefully it's been helpful.
Yes,
does she
definitely.
have a perspective?
Did you want to share your perspective on some of this?
I maybe next week.
Okay.
No, I really just appreciate the information because it's so confusing right now.
It is.
And just there's a lot of fear, and it's really difficult not to, go that way, be with the fear.
Yes.
So
well, did you hear what I said about that book, Love Without End?
Yes.
If you read,
I've looked into that. I've seen that artist before, but I have not read the book.
The book is phenomenal. And here's the thing, what he's allegedly telling her during that interaction that they had over a period of 40 days, to me, that is the same individual that I've been interacting with since September 22nd, 1985. It just,
that's cool.
It is, but it's not just an intellectual thing. Like I was telling you earlier in the show, that the love quotient, or that connectivity, that the level of control, or our ability to command creation. I mean, look, we were created by a creator to be creative, but we don't really understand. There's no owner's manual specifically that instructs us on how to be gods. That's been withheld from us. So this is why I'm encouraging people to read that book. It's absolutely amazing.
Yes, I'm interested, and I'm interested in the Shining ones. It's quite expensive.
Okay.
To get the book version, I think
the print version. Did you go through my website?
Well, no, I like to have the book version.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing: you can either get the PDF or you can buy a print version. It's about $70 US. It ships from San Diego, California. If you look for it on Amazon, it's like $200. I don't know why.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
Hardbound?
Yes.
Okay, well then I need to go through your website.
Please do.
But I do want to mention one thing. Sorry to interrupt you. The Institute of Heart Math, you probably are familiar. So that is something. So I work with clients. I'm a clinical social worker. And I use their techniques all the time for creating that heart resonance, that, enhancing the field of the heart, which I feel is so, so important, and, links in with what you're talking about.
Wow. And are you doing this of your own accord, or did you get authorization to do that?
Yeah, I mean, they have trainings. So the Institute of Heart Math.
No, I know, but I mean, as a social worker, did you tell your superiors that that's what you're doing, or are you just doing it on your own?
No, I'm just doing it.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I do it with myself. So I share what works with me with my clients.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I do
Perfect.
work in an institution, but I also have a small private practice.
Okay.
So I feel like I have a lot of leeway. But no, I don't get approval.
Yeah, that's smart. That's excellent. Well, thank you for doing that, Heidi. That's wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for letting me talk. And I really look forward to your show every week. So I'll go back on mute. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I think we just lost Bob, but oh man. In any case, if you want to join the conversation with the last 15 minutes here, you can see on the screen here, you can link to you can become part of the Zoom meeting, or you can actually call us if you just want to dial in. If you're on your smartphone watching this or listening, you can actually, I'm not going to give out all the numbers. There's just too many, but it's there up on the screen. So anyway, it's a blessing and a burden to be delivering this information. As you may know, the word angel just means messenger. So in that regard, I guess I classify as an angel. Yeah, and they don't have wings. They never did. Okay, that's another bit of the fairy tale that's been told to us, like so many other misleading things that. Are you okay, Daryl?
Oh my God!
You're so busy, man.
Man,
you need a couple more arms.
Listen, I mean, what I had to do, I couldn't find the parts, I couldn't find the pieces, but I got it up. It's running. We got the other monitor on, and Heidi,
Perfect.
I am so proud of you for doing what you're doing. But you know something? You gotta do it the right way. You gotta do it under the cover, girl. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, she is.
She is. She's teaching them. And you know, the problem that people have today, they don't want to talk about love. Yes, I'm a little tired. I've been moving a little fast, and I'm a little, I'm a little out of breath. But and I'm sick too. So you got to understand, I'm moving like, you know, racing speed. I had to remove a monitor and put in a new monitor. Monitor died. So I'm sorry, people, for the little disturbance, but you at least got to hear the speech. On the other side, you know, I love you all. Look, Robert Stanley, I love. I love everybody.
You too, Daryl.
But you know something? Sometimes it's hard to love the children, but you gotta love them. But it's hard to love the children that know not what they are doing.
That's right. That's why we're supposed to forgive them. He said, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And do you know, when you bring up a really good point, because I've got friends and family that are adults, but then I have to keep reminding myself, no, you're dealing with a young soul. This is a very immature soul you're dealing with that does things that you would think are just completely stupid. Why do they make these same bad choices or mistakes, right? But it's their choice, it's their path. They have to learn at their own pace. We all do,
right?
And okay, we love them. We try and help as much as possible, but if they refuse at a certain point, that's all. That's it. That's all we can do.
That's all you can do. Yay! You cannot take everybody to the well to drink the water. Okay?
That's right. You can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. That's absolutely a true saying. Yes, absolutely.
And the truth is a hard thing to drink, ain't it? Good God. Can that truth be hard?
It can, if we're still hanging on to judgment. Yeah. Okay, because here's the thing. We've all been indoctrinated. Okay, Bob's back. Let's get him back. Hopefully his connection is a little better now.
Cowboy Bob said, well, you know, I don't judge. Hold on, I just judged myself.
Jeez. Hey, Bob, you're back.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on here.
See, you're judging, Bob.
Anyway, it comes with the territory. I know what you're going through.
Okay.
I do not like technical difficulties. Sometimes it's a real.
That's why you got people like me to fix them real quick while everything's going on, and hopefully not fall over and bite them.
Don't take it personal, though. Here's the thing: everybody that does anything like this always goes through technical issues. I've had my share. We all do. Okay.
Bob. I
But
went from
when it works well. It's wonderful. It can be great. We're obviously
got it.
he got it.
Can you see us?
I'm in real time and everything. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
can
and you're
see
not
it all.
glitching out.
Well,
Okay,
hold
No,
on.
you're glitching out. Yeah, no, what happened was I had it from, so Daryl sends me this link,
Yes.
and I had it from the link. So that put me on watching it from Facebook. Then I have the other link that I log into to do the show, like you do, to
Yes.
log into the Zoom platform, right?
Right.
So I launched that. Well, it wasn't reacting, and then it was reacting, and then suddenly there was 5 screens up here, and they were all talking, but at different times.
Oh God.
So you'd say something, I'd hear it 4 times.
Well, okay. So since you brought it up, that's the other thing. If you have too many windows open, too many things running at once, your CPU and your
Disrupts.
computer, it takes away from that ability to process the stream. And it does take a lot of CPU or processing power in order to handle the audio video stream.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that's
does.
where I'm at. I'm in Cottonwood, Arizona, so I mean, we're
Oh,
in the middle of
beautiful.
nowhere.
Yeah,
No,
Dial-up,
that's God's
barely
country.
dial-up speed, right?
Yeah.
But my
Really?
wife was a senior analyst for the state of Arizona before she passed. And so the computers that I have, she set up so that I'm literally sitting in a broadcast studio in my house,
Right.
right? So the idea is, so I've got this powerhouse of a Dell that's actually 4 or 5 years old, and it still outpowers most anything you can buy at Office Max or any of those places.
Yeah.
It's custom. She went to Dell and said, I want this.
Yeah.
And she was a buyer for all the public schools in the state of Arizona, 80 districts. She bought, when they had purchased the computers, that ran across her desk, so she would set up the purchase order with Dell. So when she called in to get her own stuff, they were kind of like, well, sure, Miss Tracy, whatever you want. So she said, this is what I want. So she built me a platform that I can run. I can run Adobe Editor. I can run Pinnacle Avid editor on here, plus the broadcast quality capability, the camera, the audio, the whole routine. All her design. I just inherited it.
Aw.
Cool.
Don't know
That's
how
nice.
to use most of it, but here I am, right?
Yeah,
that was
you'll
the
learn.
one of the things. Well, I was back to story. So, the question at hand was, dynamically, as we realized that everything that came after, let's say, after the flood, okay, everything was dogma for power and control. So whether it was the Christian theology or it was the Buddha theology, it doesn't matter. They were all dogma. They all created someone who was in charge over a whole bunch of other people. But prior to that, we did have an origin that predates that. We don't have a lot of history or physical history to back that up. And we only have suppositions, tablets and scrolls and things that have been put back together where they filled in a lot of pieces because they think they understood what the guy was saying.
Yeah.
When in fact they had 2 fragments, right? And they, 2 fragments of 5. The other 3 were missing. So they think they were filling in the blanks and that they did it appropriately. But again, that's the hand of man getting involved in what is physical evidence. So I go back to questioning, we are what we are. And isn't the premise of our being here some form of discovery? And you kind of hit on that same note. We're here to figure out who we are and what this is all about, because somehow when we depart this plane, in essence, which suggested we join the Anunnaki, or we join anew. Okay, so we go to heaven. We become part of that giant celestial ball of energy, which we refer to as a Godhead. And, we become part of it. But when we come down here, we're one piece that separates in. So the goal is what we learn from the time we're born to the time we die is a matter of our perception. Is that what the Anunnaki, to put it in your vernacular, is that what the Anunnaki did? Was they wound us up and set us loose and said, go figure it out, okay? Your mission is to figure it out. And when you do, you'll get to go away. Because I've heard the connotation given from a different perspective that says, hey, that's heaven. This is hell. You see, that's the whole point of the story. You're here. this is it. This is where you get your redemption. This is where you learn. If you go into the Hindu, you get into the process of the many lives, right? So you have to live all these tiers of life. And in each tier, you learn something new till you graduate and you ascend to heaven. Okay, now in the more orthodox, say, Christian version, or even in the Muslim version, you do this on one cycle, boom, you go to heaven. Or you go to purgatory. But wouldn't that be the Hindus coming back again? That's purgatory, right?
Recycling.
You have to come back and do it over again. And if you think it was difficult on 2 legs with 2 hands and opposing thumbs, try it with 6 legs and wings, man. Now try to learn the same lesson from that perspective, because he has much smaller option levels than we as a human being have intellectually. See, and I think, again, I go back to, I believe, sincerely, having heard all the different tales from all the different directions, putting together the little pieces that everybody mentioned, they all use that same phrase or terminology. Looking at that as the draw the line between the dots and saying, then we're on a mission to achieve a goal, and everything that's happening around us is surrealistic, because they're all on their own agenda. So you've wound up a whole bunch of little duckies and put them on the kitchen floor, and they're all running around randomly, trying not to run into each other. But every one of them is on its own course, and you can interrupt or interfere with that course, but they're still on their same course till the wind runs out, and that's the end of their journey. And so then you look at the interaction of the human beings on this planet, and the interaction between human beings and the animals on this planet, the other living things, and go, they're all there to direct you or interfere with you or interrupt you. And that's the whole point. It's a learning experience that you have to get through. And when you get the idea, then you get to leave. Here I am, 67 years old, with all this wisdom, and I still ain't got the idea, because I'm still here. Okay. That one.
All right. Well, anyway, the way I look at it is, it's a meritocracy. We earn the right to move forward as we graduate to the higher levels of understanding, and everybody does this at their own pace. And yet sometimes it's a collective, because we're on this planet together, and we're under various influences or stresses. Basically, let's call it a curriculum. If we're in a school, you could just drop out, or you can work hard and you can graduate with your class, or you can graduate early if you're really smart and you really apply yourself. If that's a proper analogy, then where do we go next? It's not heaven. My understanding is we just keep going through multiple different levels of challenges, individually and collectively, as souls. All right, our souls are not limited to these physical bodies. We can leave our physical body anytime. But there's, okay, so one of the things that I learned from reading the work of Christian O'Brien is, it was a very interesting thing he said was, you can earn a divine passport to move throughout creation more freely, because there are restrictions, there are rules. You'd mentioned this before. Yes, there are rules, and every realm that we visit and we exist in has a different set of rules. But we can take the merit, our record, our personal record of the choices we make and the actions that we take are what determine where we go next. If we've really learned our lessons, we don't just exist to at the expense of others. We're service. If you're service to others, if you learn that, so-called love, then you're able to move to the next level without restriction, because you're not a danger to yourself or others. We're running up here on a couple more minutes till the top of the hour.
I forgot what I wanted to say.
What? Go ahead, Daryl.
I forgot what I wanted to say.
Well, it's okay.
I'll save it to next week, because, it's a fiery subject. It has a lot of information. And in order to be, as I would say, down with the sickness of the unicus, of the man himself, Robert Stanley, who should be Dr. Robert Stanley in this case. We should call him Doc.
We can give him a doctorate.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
honorary doctorate degree.
Yeah, I mean, the two of us are equipped between us. I'm a layman, and you are a whatever they call that.
He's a PhD.
Yeah, but he's a PhD, so he's an academic, and I'm a layman, and between the two of us, we can deem that you are.
Okay.
Now, this works in the restaurant world, in the food world, right?
Yeah,
So
executive.
three executive chefs can deem that you are a chef, and you earned the title, and you can carry that name, although you never went to culinary arts school. I know this for a fact because I am a chef de cuisine.
Wow.
So I earned that, long before I got into media and broadcasting. I was a chef in Sedona and other resort communities in the Southwest, and so I earned that by working under other executive chefs who deemed together that I had learned what it was required in the job and that I was earned the title of chef. So chef de cuisine, because I never graduated a culinary school in a formal discipline.
Well, on behalf of the Global Enlightenment Radio Network and the
What's the
education
share
within.
link, Daryl?
Okay, hold on.
If somebody wants to watch this live feed, where do they go to watch this live feed?
They can go
Not
on
to Zoom.
Facebook, YouTube. They can go to Facebook, YouTube, and all. Let me go down the sites where we're located. Since we're live on the Unicast Network.
I got friends that want to watch, and I can't give them a link to tell them when they can see it live. Only when they can see it.
Well, they can always hop on the YouTube, and you have the link for that, right?
Yeah. Well, I think
Yes,
you send me. What
Daryl,
got me here?
On behalf of on behalf of the Global Enlightenment Radio Network, I would like to bequeath this title of Doctor to Robert Stanley. He is now honorary Dr. Robert Stanley. So
as
let
director
it be.
of programming, I agreed.
Thank you guys.
Okay, so there you go.
They
named me that yesterday in case you didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't.
He tried to make me the head of marketing and sales, and I told him that I would consult. I'm not going to go out and get his sponsors for him, but I'll help him get there.
Hey, I was
All right.
look, I
Good
was
deal,
looking,
guys.
look, I was doing the Anunnaki. I was trying to get some labor.
I have all the wrong genes and no brain. There's nothing in there.
Well,
Okay.
Robert, you know what time it is. You know what to do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you ready for it, brother?
Yes, I want to say that concludes another Unicast report. I do appreciate everybody tuning in. Wow, that was a lot of fun. Look forward to doing it again next week.
And here comes your music.
Until next time, may the force be with you.
Later, Robert.
Thanks.